This is Jordan. This video is being recorded on the afternoon of Friday, November 24th, 2023. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. In this video, just going to do a quick wrap up of the week for gold and silver and the miners, and maybe a little look ahead to next week. So starting off here, we have the weekly candle charts for gold at the top, silver here. Then at the bottom, we have the gold-silver ratio. So this is all weekly data. And so this week, we have gold gained about 1%, silver 2%. So silver in recent days has been outperforming gold. We'll get to the gold-silver ratio in a moment. But first, looking at gold. So we got the close above 2000, 2003. So this weekly close is actually the highest weekly close since May, which is good. But I would say, 2003, it's not that. I mean, it's a close above 2000 resistance, but only by a hair. A 1%, in some technical analysis textbooks, I recall back in the day reading those, or somewhere I read, if it closes 1% above the breakout or more than 1%, a 1% close above the breakout line, if it's 2000, that would be 2020. So 2003, that's just a minuscule mark. But it could go either way. I mean, this could be a legit close above 2000. Maybe the market carries higher in the next week or two to weekly resistance at 2028. Maybe even the daily resistance at 2050. That's possible. But at the same time, it's possible we get some selling and it goes back below 2000. So bottom line, need to see more evidence that the close above 2000 is going to bring a lot more momentum. Now, next Thursday, that is the end of the month, if my calculation is correct. And so that's the monthly close, which is very important. 2009 is the monthly all-time high close. And aside from that, there has never been a monthly close above 2000. So pay attention to that next week as we get to Thursday. Now, moving on to silver. Silver closed at 24.34. There is some resistance right here at 24.50. This is the weekly chart. I mean, you have this here, these peaks here. Support here, peak here. This is a peak here. So this has been an important level. So if gold is gonna make it, if this isn't a real breakout above 2000, which it's possible, it might not be. You could see some selling here, and at the same time, maybe silver gets stopped at 24.50. Then you see some selling. But if we see silver charge through this resistance at 24.50. Then we'll probably see it test at 26. But again, mind the monthly closes. Next Thursday, monthly resistance for silver is at $25. So you have this weekly resistance at 24.50. Then next Thursday, you have the monthly resistance at 25. So if by the end of next week, if silver is up at 26, that would be really significant and would say, we'll probably get some follow through above 26 sooner rather than later. But first things first, silver has a lot of resistance to chew on. But nevertheless, this is looking better. Look at all these holds of support at 22. Here. Okay, this is a failed one here. And if we look at the last couple of months, so this is equivalent to the 200-day. You had a fail here, fail these weeks, and now we're pushing above it. So looking at silver in a vacuum, there's a reasonable chance that it could push above this resistance, but we have to mind that going into next week in the end of the month. Gold-silver ratio I don't want to speak beyond the very short term just because it can be complicated, but looking at the very short term, this is a potential target that you could see this continue lower to 78 if this move continues. And, by the way, if you get silver up to 25 and a half, and this goes down to 28, gold isn't mathematically, gold would be around here and not having completely broken out yet. So just a thought. But moving on, let's talk about the miners. GDX was up about 3% on the week, GDXJ 3.6%. And starting off with GDX, the head and shoulders pattern, it's kind of a complex one, but it's still intact. GDX closing at 29.30. There's huge resistance here. In the last video, we said, look, there's room for GDX to move up and rally to 30 without breaking out. So it hasn't broken out yet. you have lateral resistance going back years and years. That's at 30. You have the 200-day 30.17. So GDX has not broken out. But again, if gold is going to clear 2,000 and silver is going to move up to 26, you'll probably see more strength. I mean, obviously in the miners. So like gold and silver, miners have some resistance to deal with. It's 30 for GDX. GDXJ, not quite as strong recently. Rallied up to the 200-day at 36. Closed just a little bit below it. But if you get a little bit of a breakout, not a little bit of a breakout, but if gold and silver, I mean, if you're going to see silver challenge 25.5 or 26, if gold's going to challenge 2030 or 2050, you'll probably see miners punch through the 200-day moving average. And then, potentially if you get a little bit of a rally into year end, this is what you're looking at for GDXJ. This is what you're looking at for GDX. That's all for this week. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Miners and metals starting to look a bit better, but they're going to have to test some resistance before we see more buying come in and these short-term games really extend. So that's the question going into next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you guys again in the next video.